Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
Good morning, everyone. It's August 19th, 2018. I'm Eric. How's everyone doing? I'm here at theactivistpost.com. 3 trigger terms being used to stop critical thinking. This comes from Sigmund Freud. It's a strange world of newspeak we live in. What was once a society devoted to logic and progress is now being herded into echo chambers of thought control and anti-critical thinking. Without the ability to examine an issue impartially and completely, there is little hope for maintaining liberty and freedom, as history repeatedly demonstrates. Today, we find that thinking is a diminishing art, and in its place, sound bites and stop-thought terms are used to put the brakes on the mind. These terms are widely used as signals to prevent minds from looking too deeply at a topic or issue. Thinking critically means making reasoned judgments that are logical and well thought out. It is a way of thinking in which one doesn't simply accept all arguments and conclusions to which one is exposed without questioning the arguments and conclusions. It requires curiosity, skepticism, and humility. People who use critical thinking are the ones who say things such as, "How do you know that? Is this conclusion based on evidence or gut feeling? And are there alternative possibilities when given new pieces of information?" The 3 terms most widely used today to this avail are detailed below. Number 1, conspiracy theorist. This term is so overused that it really is devoid of any practical meaning if you were to examine it at face value. It describes a person who is looking to understand injustices in our world and is willing to look at uncomfortable facts in search of negative influence, of which there is plenty in our world today. However, conspiracy theorist has literally become a derogatory term that is attributed to anyone who refuses to accept mainstream narratives at face value. It doesn't matter that there is overwhelming evidence to indicate that mainstream media does not value objectivity or report on important issues thoroughly or truthfully. We now find this term applied as a prefix to well-known journalists and media personalities, almost as we use the term doctor. It's an adjective that precedes them everywhere, so that before you even know what issue is being discussed, you know the issue is coming from someone considered to be fringe and unacceptable. Take Alex Jones, for example. People love to make fun of Alex Jones for his gay frog rant, but atrazine does turn frogs and other amphibians and mammals gay. And then much worse. So, while I do not agree with everything Jones says, a majority of what he says is true. At least in regards to, or with regards to, the New World Order, their intentions, the documents. Now he has slid off into being a political sycophant for Donald Trump, but that does not mean he didn't tell the truth about most other things. So, number 2 is alt. We see the label alt being applied more and more frequently as an adjective for sentiments that supposedly do not fit in with the accepted status quo. Ideas outside of the box. Alt media, alt left, alt right, alt news, alt health, and so on. The signal here is that the mainstream is the safe space, and that any segment of ideas or thought given this prefix is outside of that mainstream and therefore not something ordinary people would want to associate with. It takes complex ideas and sensitive issues and benches them, so that when the hive mind stumbles upon something alt, they immediately react with fear, disdain, and feign outrage. There is no alt in our world. We are one, and any faction of ideas is really just a spin-off of the shared reality we all live in. If segments of this shared space are off-limits and labeled as so, we all lose. Meaning, if we label these things as alt, and these things are off limits, we lose because we don't hear both sides. Number 3, hate speech. And this is a good one, because they can say that it's hate speech for just about anything you disagree with, especially when it comes to race relations or immigration, stuff like that. This term is one of the all-time favorites of politicians and tyrants. After all, what could be more dangerous than hate? Hate speech is not the same thing as a hate crime. And by the way, a hate crime is really not a thing. It's just a crime, right? Speech is just that. Speech. It is literally vibrating air moving through space, and unless we're talking about a crowd control cannon, sound really can't cause people physical harm. It is fascinating to watch how people use this term so freely, as if speech itself can be criminal. American society is founded on the idea of freedom of speech and self-expression, which is at its core is the recognition that as human beings we do not and never will all see the world the same way. It is an acknowledgement of the fact that different people have different ideas about how the world is and should be. These differences shouldn't be used as a basis for discrimination. The term hate speech is one of the most loaded and ambiguous terms in the political lexicon. Beware. If we're pushed into these echo chambers, if we're labeled as alt, hate speech, or conspiracy theorist, the masses of people out there will not pay attention. That's what they're used for. That's why people scream at the top of their lungs at you when you're telling them Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. It was Saudi Arabia and Israel and our own government. It is what makes them call you a conspiracy theorist. So, and when I was in jail this last time for a week, one of my cellmates got extremely fucking upset when I told him that Saddam Hussein didn't fucking commit 9/11. It was Israelis, it was the Saudis, and it was the deep state. Oh, you sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist. That's exactly what he said. Just like that. And, of course, anything I talked about, he would say, that's a conspiracy theory. Even though, you know, a lot of what I talk about is well documented and put in the words of the ruling class themselves or one of their cronies. Anyway, thought I would share this with you. Hope everyone has a good day. It's the last day before school starts down here in the South, and so tomorrow I will be homeschooling my daughter once again. And by the way, I have a backup channel called Anti-Authoritarian. It is, the link is in the description box. I have a BitChute channel as well. Simply Kill the State. It too, the link is in the description box, and if I am worthy of your spare dollars, PayPal link is also down there. Till next time, kill the state before the state kills you.